10. Over the edge. Andrea Celea's life ended in the Dominican Republic when she flipped over the side of a balcony and fell 8 floors to the ground below. She didn't trip and fall. It wasn't a drunk accident. She was pushed. She had moved to the capital of Santo Domingo with her family shortly before her death. It was when she moved that she met the man who would ultimately be her undoing. His name is Gabriel Villanueva, and he's the one that shoved Andrea off the balcony to her death. He's since been given 20 years for murder. To understand why it unfolded this way, we need to go back to the beginning. 1 year before she was discovered dead on the pavement outside of a hotel in the capital, Andrea had broken things off with Gabriel. They had not been on good terms for a full 12 months. And then out of the blue, the pair got together to spend 3 days at the hotel to celebrate Andrea's birthday. It didn't make much sense, especially considering she had taken out a restraining order against him just days before they checked into the hotel together. She had been concerned for her safety because he was displaying violent and aggressive behavior. Nonetheless, the pair checked into the hotel together. Less than 4 hours later, Gabriel beat her up and threw her off the balcony. 9. Hotel Pesticides. Kayleen Null and Tom Schwander stayed at the Gran Bahia Principe Hotel La Romana in June. Everything was going great until 6 days into their vacation, when their room started to stink like chemicals. Both of them woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning covered in sweat, with pounding headaches, dizzy, and hardly able to breathe. They were seriously ill, and so they purchased tickets to go home before the sun had even come up. Even though they had blood coming out of their butts and what felt like chainsaws in their guts, they endured the flight home. They absolutely did not want to be sick in the Dominican Republic. When they got home, they went immediately to their doctor. Their doctor informed them that they had been poisoned by a pesticide and exposed to insecticides. These chemicals made them ill beyond belief. And according to the couple, they believed the chemicals were being sprayed into their hotel room through the air conditioning system. They witnessed a maintenance person spraying palm plants just outside the room. They figure whatever the maintenance worker was spraying the palm plants with got into the air conditioning system and poisoned them. In total, the couple was sick for 6 weeks. It wouldn't be so suspicious if this was an isolated incident, but it wasn't. Edward Holmes and Cynthia Day were found dead in their room at the Gran Bahia Principe resort shortly after. The cause of death for both was ruled as sudden respiratory failure. Yvette Monique Short also passed away at the resort after having just 1 drink from the minibar. She was also believed to have suffered respiratory failure. Maybe it's pesticides or maybe not, but something is definitely killing the guests at this hotel while they sleep. 8. One dead shark. A group of visitors recently dragged a shark out of the water to take pictures with it, which is honestly such a cruel thing to do. And because it was out of the water for so long, it caused the shark to suffocate and die. It happened at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Punta Cana. The tourist and some staff worked together to capture the shark in the shallow water and haul it back onto the shore. It was pretty big, taking 7 men to hold the thing down, at least until it stopped moving. What happened here is something uniquely human. The shark was pinned down, a life preserver was shoved into its mouth, and it lay helpless as flocks of tourists came up and took photos with it. By the time the humans got bored, the shark was already dead. The poor thing suffocated outside the water for one of the cringiest photo shoots in beach history. 7. Violence in the streets. The streets of the Dominican Republic are just as dangerous as the hotels, especially in the city of Higüey. It was here that a man named Anielo Santana shot his wife, stole a woman's car at gunpoint, then went on an insane shooting spree. He killed 7 people, wounded 8, and was ultimately shot dead by the cops. According to the local police in the Dominican Republic, it all happened because of an argument. Anielo had gone into the home of Angela Acosta, his estranged wife. Whatever they got into an argument about was so severe that Anielo snapped and went completely crazy. He shot his wife, then decided to play some real-world Grand Theft Auto. Once he carjacked the woman on the street and started driving, he wanted to see how many people he could shoot dead before the cops finally got him. First, he barged into a cell phone store and shot a 21-year-old woman and her teenage brother. They had been shopping for a Father's Day present. Anielo then went on blasting random people until the cops finally cornered him. There was a brief firefight and Anielo was taken away in a body bag. 6. One dead expat. Lindsay De Felice, a British author living in the Dominican Republic, was discovered dead. Her decayed corpse was uncovered in a shallow grave in 2019. She'd been murdered by strangulation and left in the forest. All these years later, we still don't know who did it. It's taken until 2022 to get her husband of 14 years, his 2 sons, and a 4th man brought to trial for her death. Prosecutors say these men worked together to murder the 64-year-old woman. However, they've all pleaded not guilty, and we're still waiting for their day in court. Lindsay's story starts in 2002. She had lived a very successful life in the UK as a marketing manager, but she wanted something different. In 2002, she abandoned her husband, quit her job, and moved to the Maldives to scuba dive. She ended up settling in the Dominican Republic, getting a job as a scuba instructor, and marrying a local in 2005. She supported this man financially and even tried to get him elected as mayor. When Lindsay was shot in 2006 through the throat during a robbery gone bad, things took a dark turn. She couldn't scuba dive anymore and started writing instead. She wrote a book that reached #1 on the book charts, and now she's dead. Her husband has been accused of the murder, conspiring with his family to get rid of Lindsay and keep her money for themselves. Would you ever consider relocating to the Dominican Republic permanently after hearing about the sad case of Lindsay De Felice? Let us know in the comments why or why not, and don't forget to hit subscribe before the end of the video. 5. Crash landing. In 2021, 9 people tragically died in a terrifying plane crash in the Dominican Republic. The private plane had to make an emergency landing when something went wrong, but the landing went wrong too. 7 passengers and 2 of the crew were brutally killed when the plane crashed down at Las Americas Airport in Santo Domingo. That was everyone on board. Among the dead was the famous Puerto Rican music producer Jose A. Hernandez, also known as Flo La Movie. It's not clear what went wrong. The plane had taken off from La Isabela International Airport and was on its way to Florida when it ran into issues just 15 minutes after taking off. 4. Left for dead. A woman from Delaware had the worst vacation of her life when she was brutally attacked in the Dominican Republic. Not only was Tammy Lawrence Daly attacked violently, but she was severely injured mentally. She'll never forget the night she was beaten, violated, and locked in an underground dungeon. As Tammy was going to grab a snack, a man rammed her from behind, knocked her to the ground, and dragged her into an underground room. Once he had her inside the waist area beneath where hundreds of vacationers were falling asleep or partying into the night, he tortured her. He kicked her, he beat her with a club, and he did other, even more heinous stuff as well. He choked her, strangled her, and left her to die. From here, things were pretty bleak for Tammy. She was injured beyond the ability to move. The bones in her face had been crushed. She slipped in and out of consciousness and was only found 8 hours later by her family and friends. Her family had needed to convince the hotel staff she was missing for them to actually start looking across their property. Tammy spent 5 days in the hospital, had to go through several surgeries, and her attacker was never found. 3. Human smuggling ring. The Dominican Republic may be famous for its beautiful beaches and hot weather, but it's also famous for its human smuggling. Authorities recently dismantled a massive criminal network involved in smuggling human beings at $20,000 per person. These human smugglers were involved in trying to bring 3 Dominican nationals into the U.S. The 3 Dominicans were among 56 other migrants killed when a truck bound for the U.S. crashed in Mexico. Security forces launched raids in the cities of Bani and Santo Domingo, arresting nearly a dozen people. These individuals were charged in the illicit trafficking of human beings, according to the Attorney General's office. But amazingly, prosecutors only requested jail sentences of 18 months each. This means that in less than 2 years, they'll probably be right back smuggling again. They used the money they made bringing people from the Dominican to the U.S. to buy luxury vehicles and real estate. Here's how they got the people from one point to the other. They would put the migrants on flights from the Dominican Republic to somewhere like Guatemala, Panama, or Mexico. They were then put inside freight containers and hauled across the land border into the U.S. Once inside, they were freed from the containers to go about their business. As for that truck accident I talked about earlier, it was really what forced the security forces in the Dominican Republic to crack down on the smugglers. The speeding tractor-trailer hauling a container full of migrants hit a pedestrian bridge on a highway and flipped over. Migrants were shot across the pavement, while some became trapped in the twisted metal. A total of 107 migrants, all of who were trying to sneak into the U.S. across the border, were injured. Among those seeking refuge in the United States were nationals of Guatemala, Colombia, and the Dominican. 2. A mysterious collapse. Galina Isayeva was 53 years old and healthy as a horse. She didn't have a thing wrong with her. She was as spry as a teenager, and yet she dropped dead in late April while vacationing in the Dominican Republic. Her husband told investigators he doesn't believe for a second that she simply collapsed, and yet that's what the Dominican authorities are saying. They say Galina collapsed from a pulmonary edema, which is a buildup of fluid in the lungs. She had been enjoying her vacation, everything was totally normal, and then she collapsed, stopped breathing, and was dead. Nobody knows what happened to Galina. Some have blamed dangerous pesticides in the air conditioning. Some say she could have been exposed to tainted alcohol. There definitely wasn't any evidence of violence, at least not physically. So far as the authorities can tell, she died from natural causes. But her family doesn't think so. They believe her death to be a mystery likely being covered up by the hotel she was staying at and the Dominican authorities. Her family believes the cover-up is a desperate attempt to protect the country's reputation as a tourism destination. 1. Surgical complications. A mother of 2 from New York City wanted to look even better than she already did. She was working as a nurse and a makeup artist in the city when she decided to get some plastic surgery done. She couldn't afford to do it in the U.S., so she booked the procedure in the Dominican Republic. But after she traveled to the Caribbean island to get liposuction on her buttocks, she ended up in a coffin. Her name was Jesmi Tapia, just 30 years old. She had to be hospitalized at a local medical facility in the Dominican Republic because of an infection after the operation. They put her under observation in the intensive care unit, but she quickly passed away. We don't actually know all the complicated details surrounding the case. Her family has kept extremely quiet and denied the accusations that she had also been in the Dominican to undergo breast augmentation surgery. The family also haven't given any information on which facility Jesme paid to have the procedure done. If you or someone you know has been thinking of getting surgery done in the Dominican Republic, this should be a really strong wake-up call. Researchers at the University of Texas Medical Branch released a report in 2019. The report showed irrefutable evidence that the Dominican Republic is one of the most dangerous places to have plastic surgery done. The study found that doctors are not properly qualified, clinics don't adhere to safety guidelines, and dozens of people end up dying from complications. How do you feel about taking a vacation to the Dominican Republic after hearing these horror stories? Let us know in the comments, and thanks so much for watching. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit subscribe, support the channel, and I'll see you again for another awesome video. Bye!